You speak because you're uncomfortable with silence. You rush to fill the air with words, justifying yourself, defending yourself, trying to force understanding where it cannot yet exist. And in doing so, you give away your power. What if instead you let the silence settle? What if, instead of reacting, you simply allowed things to unfold? There is something profoundly powerful about a person who knows when to stay silent, who understands that not every situation requires their voice, that sometimes the most commanding presence is the one that speaks the least. Silence is not submission. It is not passivity. It is restraint. It is discipline. And it is control over the most unruly force within you, your own impulses. Most people react instantly, without thought, without calculation. They blurt out what they feel in the moment, assuming that their emotions should dictate their actions. But the man who remains silent when others lose their composure is the one who holds the real power. Because in silence you observe, and in observation you see things as they are, not as your emotions distort them to be. Silence forces you to listen, and listening is a skill that most people never develop. If you can listen without the need to inject your own thoughts, without the desperate urge to make your presence known, you will notice patterns that others miss. You will see the insecurity behind their confidence, the hesitation behind their certainty, the weakness behind their aggression. You will come to understand people not by what they say, but by what they are unable to hide when they think no one is paying attention. In a world that glorifies expression, where everyone is desperate to be seen and heard, silence is a rare and valuable commodity. You don't need to announce your strengths, your intelligence, or your intentions. The strongest man in the room is not the one who shouts the loudest, but the one who speaks only when necessary. The one who listens more than he talks, who absorbs more than he projects, who chooses his words with care instead of filling the air with noise. People will start to lean in when you speak because your silence will have made your words valuable. There is an ancient wisdom in letting things unfold naturally. People believe they must control everything: outcomes, conversations, perceptions, when in reality, much of life flows better when you remove your desperate grasp. Have you noticed that the more you try to chase something, the further it gets from you? But when you stand still, strong in your silence, the world starts to move toward you instead. This is not passivity. This is not resignation. This is understanding that the things truly meant for you will come when the time is right. Some of the greatest mistakes in life come from speaking too soon, from reacting too quickly, from forcing something that needed time to grow. Relationships collapse because of words spoken in haste. Opportunities slip away because of impulsive decisions. Reputations are ruined not by what was done, but by what was said in the wrong moment. Silence protects you from yourself. It gives you time to think, to process, to strategize. It teaches you patience, and patience is what allows things to come naturally. Mastering silence is mastering control, control over your emotions, control over your reactions, and control over the way the world perceives you. The man who can hold his tongue when provoked, who does not need to explain himself at every turn, who does not seek validation through his words, he is the man people respect, the man people notice, the man people listen to when he finally decides to speak. And when you reach that point, you'll understand that you never needed to force anything at all, because everything was always coming to you naturally, all along. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, for an inability to express oneself, but in reality, it is a manifestation of control, discipline, and deep inner strength. When you cultivate silence, you are not merely refraining from speaking, you are training yourself to endure the discomfort of restraint, to observe before reacting, and to engage with the world from a place of stability rather than impulse. People who can remain silent in moments of tension or uncertainty develop a resilience that those who rely on constant expression will never truly understand. Inner strength is not about dominance or aggression. It is about the ability to hold yourself together when everything around you is unraveling. Silence forces you to sit with your emotions, to process them without the distraction of external validation, and to make peace with discomfort. Most people seek to escape their own thoughts through conversation, noise, or endless distractions. But the individual who embraces silence finds a clarity that others will never access. It is in that clarity that true patience begins to take root. Patience is not simply the ability to wait, it is the ability to endure without frustration, to move through life with the understanding that time unfolds at its own pace, and to accept that not everything can be forced into immediate existence. When you practice silence, you train yourself to detach from the urgency that grips so many. You no longer feel the need to fill every pause with words, every moment with action, every uncertainty with an immediate answer. Instead, you develop the ability to remain steady, even when others around you are restless. A person who cannot sit in silence is a person who is controlled by their own mind. They are trapped in an endless loop of reaction, constantly seeking engagement to quiet their own anxieties. But the individual who embraces silence learns to master their own inner world. They do not need external stimulation to feel at ease because they have built a foundation of inner stability. This kind of self-sufficiency is rare, and because it is rare, it is powerful. It allows you to enter any room, any conversation, any situation with the quiet confidence of someone who does not need to prove themselves. Strength in silence is the ability to withhold words until they are truly necessary. It is the patience to listen instead of waiting for your turn to speak. It is the capacity to observe without judgment, to analyze without rushing to conclusions, and to endure the discomfort of uncertainty without falling into panic. In a world where everyone is desperate to be heard, where people believe that talking louder will make them more important, silence becomes a symbol of something deeper: wisdom, restraint, and a profound understanding of human nature. When you are silent, you give yourself the time to think, to refine your thoughts before speaking, to choose your words carefully rather than scattering them carelessly. This patience in communication makes your speech more valuable. People listen to those who speak rarely but with precision, because they recognize that every word has weight. Those who speak endlessly, filling the air with unnecessary chatter, become background noise. But the person who cultivates silence holds the attention of others when they do decide to speak, because their words have been shaped by thoughtfulness rather than impulse. There is an immense power in being the one who does not immediately react. When others are quick to defend themselves, to argue, to lash out, the silent individual remains composed. This composure is unsettling to those who rely on emotional outbursts to manipulate, to dominate, or to control. Silence forces people to reveal more about themselves than they realize. The person who cannot handle silence will expose their insecurities, their need for validation, their fears of being overlooked. The person who embraces silence remains unshaken, revealing nothing until they choose to do so. Patience and silence together create an aura of confidence that cannot be faked. Confidence is not about loudness, bravado, or the constant need to be seen. It is about knowing who you are so completely that you do not feel the need to announce it. It is about understanding that your presence alone carries weight, that your thoughts are valuable even if they are not always spoken. This kind of presence is magnetic. It draws people in without effort because it is built on something real, something earned through self-discipline and self-awareness. Silence also grants you the ability to control situations without force. The loudest person in the room may seem to dominate, but the one who listens, who waits, who speaks only when necessary, is often the one who truly holds power. Because while everyone else is reacting, the silent individual is observing, strategizing, and understanding the dynamics at play. When they finally speak, their words carry more weight because they are rooted in deep awareness rather than scattered emotion. Patience in silence also fosters an acceptance of life's natural rhythms. Most people struggle with impatience because they believe that their desires should materialize instantly. They force conversations, demand immediate validation, and react impulsively when things do not go their way. But when you train yourself to be silent, to wait, to allow time to unfold, you begin to see how much smoother life becomes. You realize that most things do not need to be rushed, that outcomes often reveal themselves when you give them space rather than force them into existence. Silence teaches you that not every battle is worth fighting, not every argument needs your participation, and not every thought needs to be voiced. It teaches you restraint, how to recognize when speaking will add value and when it will only contribute to chaos. It allows you to move through life without the constant need to explain yourself, because when you are truly confident, you no longer feel the urge to justify your existence to others. And in that quiet certainty, you find freedom. When you cultivate silence, you also cultivate patience with yourself. You no longer feel the need to rush your own growth, to compare your journey to others, to seek constant validation. You become more comfortable with who you are, with where you are, with the reality that everything takes time. You develop the resilience to endure setbacks without frustration, to embrace uncertainty without fear, and to move forward at your own pace, knowing that the strongest growth happens not in moments of noise and chaos, but in the quiet, disciplined stillness of self-mastery. The need to prove oneself is deeply ingrained in human nature, stemming from a desire for validation, recognition, and significance. From an early age, individuals are conditioned to seek approval from parents, teachers, peers, and society at large. This often manifests as a relentless pursuit of achievement, status, and acknowledgement. However, the paradox is that the more one seeks to prove themselves, the more dependent they become on external validation, which can erode genuine confidence rather than strengthen it. True confidence does not arise from constant self-promotion or the need to be acknowledged. Instead, it emerges from an internal sense of self-worth that is not dictated by the opinions or approval of others. When a person resists the urge to prove themselves, they shift their focus from seeking validation to refining their own capabilities and understanding. They develop an intrinsic motivation to improve, not for the sake of recognition, but for the sake of personal growth and mastery. A person who constantly feels the need to prove themselves often operates from a place of insecurity. They believe that their worth is contingent upon how others perceive them, and they expend energy trying to craft an image that will be widely accepted. This external focus creates a cycle of dependence, where their confidence is only as strong as the praise they receive. In contrast, those who resist this urge cultivate an unshakable sense of confidence rooted in self-acceptance and competence. There is an undeniable power in being secure enough to let actions speak for themselves. People who feel no need to prove themselves understand that credibility is built through consistent effort, reliability, and results. They do not waste energy trying to convince others of their worth because they are focused on developing real substance rather than an illusion of greatness. Their confidence is quiet yet unwavering, and this authenticity naturally commands respect.